Hi everybody, welcome to the Scott Show, this day in history. It is January 22nd. There are 343 days remaining until the end of this year. And what a year we've got coming up. I mean, just amazing, really cool stuff. But we're going to talk about this day in history, what happened this day in history, which is weird. Amazing why I call it this show. I just don't get it. Alright, so we've got an 8-year-old Constantine crowned co-emperor with Hercules at Constantinople in 613. Then we move around 900 years ahead of time to 1506, where the first contingent of the 150 Swiss Guards arrives at the Vatican. If you guys don't know about what this is, the Vatican does not have its own army. It is actually guarded by the Swiss Guards that guard the Pope and the Vatican hierarchy. So kind of an interesting little deal there. Alright, in 1689, the Convention Parliament convenes to determine whether James II and VII, the last Roman Catholic monarch of England, Ireland, and Scotland, has vacated the thrones of England and Ireland after he fled to France in 1688. Woo! That's one hell of a deal right there. I'm going to find out more of that. I always find out more, read it up. I like kind of doing that. It keeps me on my toes. All right. In 1808, the Portuguese royal family arrives in Brazil after fleeing the French armies evaded in Portugal 2 months earlier. Of course, they didn't have planes back then, so they definitely took a ship, and took 2 months to get there. In 1863, the January Uprising breaks out in Poland, Lithuania, and Belarus. The aim of the national movement is to regain Polish, Lithuanian, and Ruthenian Commonwealth from occupation by Russia. In 1889, Columbia Phonograph is formed in Washington, D.C. 1890, the United Mine Workers of America are founded in Columbus, Ohio. In 1901, Edward VII is proclaimed king after the death of his mother, Queen Victoria. So now I'm going to just double check here, so I make sure I know my history, and I believe that is true. Okay, so it looks like that Edward was then successor to George V, which his successor was Edward, and then it went from Edward to his brother, George VI, and then to Queen Elizabeth. So, if you guys ever wondered how that whole thing works out, there you go. Alright, Bloody Sunday in St. Petersburg begins with the 1905 revolution that happened, of course, in 1905. The SS Valencia runs aground on rocks in British Columbia, killing more than 130. That happened in 1906. Over 600 people are killed in Guadalajara, Mexico, when a plane plunges off the tracks into a deep canyon. 1915. 1917, President Woodrow Wilson of the still neutral United States. The United States was still neutral in 1917. War ended in 18. Calls for peace without victory in Europe. 1924, Ramsay MacDonald becomes the first Labour Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. 1927, Teddy Wakeham gives the first live radio commentary of a football match between Arsenal and Sheffield United at Highbury. 1941, World War II British and Commonwealth troops captured Tobruk from Italian forces in Operation Compass. 1944, the Allies commenced Operation Shingle as an assault on 2 cities in Italy. 1946, in Iran, Qazi Muhammad is the Independent People's declares the Independent People's Republic of Ma'abad, and he becomes a new president, and there's the Sheikh becomes a prime minister. 1946, the CIA is founded. 1947, KTLA, the first commercial television station west of the Mississippi River. 1957, Israel withdraws from the Sinai Peninsula. In 1968, Apollo 5 lifts off from carrying its first modular vehicle into space. I was trying to read two things at one time. This always happens on the show. Apollo 5 lifts off carrying its first lunar module into space. In 1968, Operation Igloo White, U.S. electronic surveillance system to stop communist infiltration into South Vietnam, begins installation. In 1970, the Boeing 747 enters commercial service to launch Pan Am Airways on its maiden voyage from John F. Kennedy to London Heathrow Airport. 1971, the Singapore Declaration is signed. 1973, the Supreme Court issues its decision on Roe v. Wade, legalizing elective abortion in all 50 states. In 1973, the crew of the Apollo 17 addresses a joint session of Congress after the completion of the last Apollo moon landing mission. 1973, something we don't talk about a lot here is sports on this show, and I'm kind of surprised why they don't really highlight it here on the thing. But in a bout for the World Heavyweight Boxing Championship, a challenger, George Foreman, knocks down champion Joe Frazier 6 times in 2 rounds, and the match is stopped. George Foreman, your new World Heavyweight Boxing Champion. And that happened in 1973. 1984, the Apple Macintosh, the first computer to popularize the mouse, and it is introduced at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl 18 television commercial. There you go. All right, 1992, rebel forces occupy Zaire's national radio station and broadcast a demand for the government's resignation. In 1992, the Space Shuttle program's Dr. Roberta Bonar becomes the first Canadian woman and first neurologist in space. In 1999, Australian missionary Graham Staines and his 2 sons are burned alive by radical Hindus while sleeping in their car in India. And Evo Morales is inaugurated as president of Bolivia, becoming the first indigenous president of Bolivia. I would love to have an indigenous president here in the United States as well. A Native American as president, I think, would be the coolest thing ever. I'm just saying. All right, so we got a few birthdays going on here today. Walter Raleigh and Francis Bacon. Lord Byron, that's his birthday today. D.W. Griffith, that's his birthday today. Tom Jones, baseball player and manager. If you guys follow baseball early time, Tom Jones was kind of a big deal. Dixie Dean, English footballer. We are going to try to find the oldest living person here. It should come up here very, very soon. A few others that we got here. Diana Douglas. Happy birthday to Diana Douglas. William Conway, an Irish cardinal. Still looking for the oldest person still with us here. We're actually going to go to 1931. Galina Zembia, who is a Russian shot putter and javelin thrower. Happy birthday to you as being our oldest person on this list still living. So happy birthday to you. All right, now let's go to a few more. Bill Buxby, happy birthday to Bill. Peter Beard, happy birthday, Peter. John Hurt, who actually passed away last year. George Seifert, award-winning, great coach. He won the Super Bowl with the 49ers. Great coach. All right, let's see. Who else is celebrating their birthday today? Steve Perry from the group Journey. So, Steve, don't stop believing, man. It is your birthday today. Michael Hutchins from the group NXS. It would have been his, 58. He would have been 58 today. Amazing singer. I still got some of his songs on my Google Home Mini and everything else. Linda Blair, happy birthday to Linda today. Diane Lane, DJ Jazzy Jeff, Guy Fieri, happy birthday to Guy. That's really awesome that it's his birthday today. Ben Taylor, happy birthday to Ben. Willa Ford, happy birthday to Willa Ford. Ray Rice, happy birthday to Ray Rice. And I don't give enough shout outs to people who rap. This guy, not that terrible of a rapper. His name is Logic. So yeah, big time shout out to him. Cool guy. Happy birthday to you as well. Alright, and now we're going to go just highlight a few of the deaths really quick here. I do this just kind of throwing down what's going on. Like Queen Victoria, of course, died today in 1901. Pope Benedict XV died this day in 1922. Or 1922, I'm sorry, 1922. Alan Hale Sr. died this day in 1950. Now, Alan Hale Sr., his son is actually, of course, Alan Hale Jr., and he played on Gilligan's Island. So, good family kind of deal going on there. Lyndon B. Johnson died this day in history too. Telly Savalas, who was actually lived in my town here in Duluth, Minnesota. He died this day in history as well. Of course, Graham Staines, I already talked about that one. Heath Ledger died this day in history. Joe Paterno died this day in history. And Joe Paterno, I'm going to say this. I'll say this on the show here while we're live. Joe Paterno needs to have his statue back. He's a great man, and he should not be crapped on for stupid crap that happened at Penn State. That's all I'm going to say about that. Alright, it is Day of Unity in Ukraine. It's Grandfather's Day in Poland. It is just a wonderful day. Hopefully you guys are having just as great of a day as I am. We'll see you guys here real soon on thescottshow.com. Don't forget to click on our YouTube and Facebook, SoundCloud, Twitter, and, of course, Speaker.com. See you guys real soon on thescottshow.com.